It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supply. Here's tonight's Speed 77 Radio Race Chaser Online Crew Chief, Tom Baker.
Welcome to Thursday Night Thunder, otherwise known as the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, where anything is possible and most of it happens. My name is Tom Baker from RaceChaserOnline.com. I am the senior editor of said site, and I am joined at the round table tonight by our managing editor, Jacob Seelman. And Jacob, a very special night here indeed as we salute the 2015 NASCAR Weekly Racing Series and Regional Touring Series champions. And we're going to be hearing from a whole lot of different people here tonight.
Yeah, we are. We're going to hear actually over the course of this show from all 8 of the NASCAR Home Tracks champions, from the K&M Pro Series to the Mighty Modifieds, all the way down to the grassroots level for the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series, and several of the International Series champions as well. And, the Night of Champions show tonight, aptly named, because we're going to get to all of that as we go throughout the show tonight, Tom. We kick off, though, with a big news blast that hit the wire on Tuesday afternoon from the NASCAR National Series, and we're going to open up our discussion tonight with talk on arguably one of the biggest rising stars of the NASCAR National Series ranks. After making 10 starts in the Xfinity Series with Junior Motorsports this season, Ben Rhodes gets his full-time shot. The Louisville, Kentucky native sign-in with Thor Sport Racing, Sandusky, Ohio-based team, to contest the full 2016 Camping World Truck Series schedule, contend for Rookie of the Year honors, contend for a championship. And you know what? I don't know that we're necessarily overly surprised by this move, Tom, but at the same time, I don't know that we were all looking at this going, okay, this is for sure going to happen either. It was one of those kind of pleasant surprise moves of the 2015 off season.
Well, I think we were all kind of waiting to see where Ben was going to wind up. I mean, it was obvious a couple of months ago that he was a piece to the Junior Motorsports puzzle that probably was not going to fit any longer for 2016. Junior was going in a couple of different directions. And so when you start to look at the possibilities of where Ben might have landed, one of the situations that comes up is, of course, the Thor Sport team, because they had the 98 truck available when Johnny Sauter decided to make the move over to Gallagher Motorsports. So again, as you say, I don't think a lot of us are terribly surprised at this, but it certainly wasn't something a lot of people necessarily expected. And it is a big move, because I think this is going to be a really, really important move for Ben for his career, to finally have a full-time ride in one of NASCAR's Big 3 series, and with a team that is really good with developing drivers too.
Yeah, this is a team that's extremely good with developing drivers. Thor Sport had Cameron Haley in the stable this year. He was really able to build his efforts going forward into the 2016 season. We expect him to be back. And, these young guys that have come through Thor Sport the last couple of years, Jeb Burton comes to mind as one that was able to make it to the NASCAR National Series ranks. It's been a whole lot of fun to watch. I personally have been very excited about this, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he's able to do in 2016. Alpha Energy Solutions is going to be a big part of the 2016 campaign, and he's going to have a familiar number, the 41, which he used in his Wheel and All-American Series late model starts and in the K&M Pro Series East on board with him as well.
Yeah, that's going to be neat to see Ben back in the 41, the 98. We aren't necessarily sure, I don't think, unless you've been able to decipher it, whether this is the 98 truck renumbered or whether this is an entirely different truck that could potentially be a fourth truck in the team if they fill the 98 slot. We'll have to see how that works out, but certainly good to have Ben aboard that Thor Sport ride. And I think I look at this for Ben in much the same way as I did the opportunity for Daniel Hemrick over at NTS this year, I think this could very well be a situation where Ben really gets his credibility and then perhaps goes on to bigger and better things, although certainly ThorSport is a team he could grow into for, a year or 2 or 3 years if he had to. Certainly one of the best teams in truck racing. So,
yeah, it really is. And a championship caliber team, too, having won 2 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series championships before with Matt Crafton. So they know their stuff.
Well, there's no doubt. And, Ben is a driver, I think, that really will benefit from having the coaching that a Matt Crafton can provide, and that even Cameron Haley, because he's been through it once, can provide. It's hard to really, I really kind of felt for Ben a little bit in his starts for junior this year, in the sense that while certainly there is a whole lot of knowledge and wins and all of that in that organization, it's really hard at the Xfinity level as a rookie like Ben was to come into a high profile opportunity like that in only 10 starts and run up front and be winning races. I think that, that was a tough situation for Ben to be in. And I thought he did very well with it. I think this is going to be a little bit more of a comfortable situation for him.
And I think we're going to get to hear from him right now. We've got him on the Race Chaser hotline with us, and it's been a while, actually, almost a whole year since we've had him last on, so we hope he hasn't forgotten us too bad. But we want to welcome Ben Rhodes back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. And Ben, we'll pull you out to go full throttle with us. Congratulations. I said at the top, we weren't necessarily expecting this, but a big move for you, and I know you've got to be really excited to have this deal sewn up, and after the way this year went, be able to go full-time in 2016.
Yeah, I'm really excited, Jacob, and I want to thank everybody at the station for having me on. It's been a busy off season. I'm not going to lie. It's the silly season in NASCAR, and they call it that for good reason. So a lot going on, and getting hooked up with ThorSport Motorsports for 2016, ThorSport Racing, is pretty special to me. It's a heck of an opportunity. They have some of the best stuff in the truck series, the best stuff in my opinion after seeing their race shops the very first time I went up there. And that's what kind of was the key point for me that sold me on this place. And another big thing is that I have my crew chief. They allowed me to go out and pick a crew chief that I had a great relationship with and somebody that I would work together with really well. They believe firmly in the driver communication, driver-crew chief communication, and that's where the magic is. And I believe the same thing. So that was another thing that sold me on this awesome race team. And I've got to say, I was up there all day today, all day yesterday, and I am pumped for the race season. We have some sweet trucks that are going to be heading out to Daytona.
Talk a little bit about going up there and being able to finally spend a little bit of an extended amount of time with ThorSport. I got to imagine, team chemistry is huge, but it had to be fun for you to be able to start to get to work with these guys, knowing that, before too long, we're already going to be talking about going to Daytona.
Yeah, it's coming up really quick. This Saturday, it's going to be 2 months exactly until the race. So it's coming up really quickly. We were up there working on it, getting everything ready. I was getting my seats fitted in Tundras. And for me, it was also really cool to see the process come together. The race suits, the paint schemes for the trucks, everything that's coming together, the schemes for the haulers, the crew shirts, the crew uniforms, everything that's coming together that makes the team what it is, its image. That's really cool to see because it just makes it really tangible as a driver to see all of that. We have the trucks sitting out there. We have the trucks in the shop. I was putting the seats in them today with the team, and just to kind of see the whole process come along and move forward, it makes it really, really cool and just, like I said, tangible. And then just to be with my crew chief and meet all the guys, face kind of heading it all for me, that means more than many people could imagine. The communication that I have with Kevin Bellacourt, my crew chief for this year, is it's probably some of the best communication I've ever had, and we just have a great relationship. So, putting that all together, it just allows me to speed up whatever learning curve I may have at Daytona, and just to make everything happen right off the bat. It just makes the magic happen right off the bat. and then, it helps.
Ben, one of the things we were curious about, maybe you can clarify this for us, is this in fact the 98 team with a renumber, or is this an additional team that you're racing for within ThorSport? Are they adding a team for you?
So that's all actually under wraps right now. The number 88 team is my only confirmed teammate right now. The 41 team is kind of a mixture of guys. They do a lot of moving around of people at ThorSport to try to accommodate and get the best chemistry with driver, crew chief, engineer, car chief, and then all the mechanics as well. Guys that already have worked together, but then they know that'll work well with us. So a lot of stuff is being moved around there to try to accommodate us, Matt Crafton, and then whoever else may be on the team.
All right, and you grabbed Kevin Bellicourt, too, who's coming off a big season in the K&N East with William Byron picking up the championship over there. You're a former champion of the K&N East ranks, and you've worked with Kevin in the past. How big is that for you, knowing that you guys already have that communication line and that chemistry going into Daytona and some of these tracks that you haven't seen before, that you can work together quickly?
I think that's a giant step in the right direction. Kevin is the guy that I wanted for the job. It's a huge step to move up to Sandusky, and he was 110% open to it when I first called him and gave him the news. I mean, he was 110% on board. He's moving his family up here, and they're just all in. And that's really cool for me to see. And that actually doesn't just apply to Kevin. That applies to everybody at that shop. Sandusky's not really the racing hub. Everybody knows that Charlotte, Mooresville, that area is where all the race teams and parts manufacturers, chassis builders, I mean, that's where everybody is at. So when you get crew members and team members up to Sandusky, that's a huge commitment on their part. So you get the most dedicated, committed people in racing to work on this race team. And that means a lot to me, because these guys have to go out of their way, and they do so much more to make sure everything's right. They put their heart and soul into it, and so do I. So that makes just an awesome feeling for a driver to know that we're all working for the same goal, and that's what it should be at every team. But when these guys have so much more dedication towards it, that just makes it that much sweeter and that much better. And
I know there's a lot of people that you probably need to thank for helping make this opportunity happen, Ben. I know Alpha Energy Solutions has been a big part of it, and all the guys at ThorSport. Who specifically do you need to give shout-outs to for this whole deal for next year? Because I know it's a big step for you.
Absolutely. First off, I need to thank Alpha Energy Solutions, because they've been behind me from the start, in late model stock cars, and they've been behind me all the way up to this point where I'm racing my Toyota Tundras up there in Sandusky. So this it's pretty cool that they've grown with me through the ranks, and we're bringing the 41 number back. That's the number that they had, and we both had in the early NASCAR days, and we have all of our wins in, and now we're going to go do it again and get us another championship. We also have Alliance Comfort Systems. Carolina Nut is on the car this year, which is pretty exciting for me, and we actually have another sponsor that's coming on board, which I'm really excited to unveil here very, very soon. Once we get our suits and our paint schemes ready, we're going to be unveiling a new sponsor, and that brings a lot of credibility to our program and makes me as a driver excited, because it means that I get to represent another brand, and I can be an ambassador for someone else, because that's what racing's all about. It's not only being out on the track, but then, being able to interact with fans and sponsors and just bringing a smile to everybody's face. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, Ben, and definitely we're looking forward, and we hope you'll keep us in the loop as far as when that announcement's going to happen. Like I said, my friend, always a pleasure to have you on. Glad to have you back with us, and looking forward to great things for you here in 2016. We're excited about Daytona about as much as you are.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for having me on.
Thanks, Ben.
That's Ben Rhodes, and when we come back, we mentioned he's a former champ of the K&N Pro Series East. We're going to start our run through the Night of Champions and hear from the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East champion, William Byron, right after this. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Dad, remember that year my birthday party got washed out by the storm? When nobody showed up, and we spent the whole night eating cake and ice cream?
Yeah, I remember. Had to be your worst party ever.
Actually, it was my favorite.
You never know which moments will be the ones they remember forever. So take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 1-877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council. You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this could be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, this is Denny Hamlin. I want to share with you today a little-known but widely pervasive neurological disorder called dyspraxia. It's estimated that dyspraxia affects between 4 and 10% of the general population, and the majority of those affected are male. The condition primarily affects motor skills, but also can affect memory, judgment, and executive function. It's sometimes referred as the hidden disability because it's not immediately obvious to others that the person affected has special needs. My niece Sarah has dyspraxia, and with the proper support in place, she is very successful in school and other activities. Sarah was lucky because she was diagnosed early. Many children and adults go years without knowing. Let's raise awareness for this disability that affects 1 in 11 people. I encourage you to learn more, get involved, and support the Dyspraxia Foundation USA. Thank you.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch.
And here's your host, Tom
Until
Baker.
you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Prince Motorsports Network. Tom Baker and Jacob Seelman with you. Our 2015 Night of Champions show, which is our final show for the year. We will be off the next 2 weeks to celebrate the Christmas and New Year's holidays. We will, in fact, return the first Thursday in January. Look forward to that. Jacob, we have a special night. From here on out, we are honoring the champions from the various NASCAR short track series, if you want to call it that, though not all of them run exclusively on small tracks. But the first one, I believe, is our K&N East champion, William Byron.
Yes, it is. And I made that tie-in before the break with Ben Rhodes because Ben was the champion in 14 before William Byron came in and made it 3 in a row for H. Scott Motorsports and team owner Harry Scott Jr. An incredible run to the title, 4 wins, top 10s in all but 1 or 2 of the 14 races this season. Unparalleled consistency. This young man, and we heard from him in the banquet on Saturday night, he called it a dream come true. He's only been racing for 3 years, and to see the growth he's had is really unbelievable, Tom. And you and I got a chance to sit down with all of these champions over the course of the night of the Week of Champions last week, and we'll go to the tape now and hear from our first champion of the night. This is again the K&M Pro Series East champ for 2015, 18-year-old William Byron. talking at the 2015 GoPro Motorplex Media Champions Karting Challenge and wrapping up the 2015 season with NASCAR K&M Pro Series East champion William Byron, soon to be a Camping World Truck Series driver here in 2016. William, I know you said the other day when you saw the car at the Hall of Fame, you finally started to get to reflect on this season. I mean, how surreal has this whole experience been? And I know you're finally getting to soak it all in a little bit as you get to be honored with the trophy Saturday night.
Yeah, it's been cool. I still can't believe it's kind of a dream come true to win a NASCAR championship like this, and just to be a part of NASCAR Next program and be a part of this championship weekend with all these other champions is cool for me. So I get to celebrate on stage on Saturday night. That's kind of when it'll all sink in for me.
Talk about the 2015 season. I mean, you had the big wins. You had, really consistent days all the way down to the end, did what you needed to at Dover to seal the championship, and then to cap off the season by going out west to Phoenix and being able to perform in the truck with Kyle Busch Motorsports. I mean, this has to have been a really incredible experience all the way around for you this year.
It has been. I feel like I'm always trying to build on the next thing, and so I haven't really had a chance to think about this year, maybe just because I'm thinking about the trucks or the Snowball Derby I was in last weekend. So just always trying to look ahead. I feel like got to focus on next year also, but it's a time to celebrate and time to give back to the guys that worked really hard.
Tell us a little bit about the Derby, William, from the driver's seat. That seems like quite an event.
Yeah, it is. It's the thing about the Derby is just the close competition. It's unlike anything I've really done. Truck race obviously is pretty competitive, but besides that, it's the Snowball Derby brings guys from the Xfinity Series and wherever to race. So it was a great experience for me, chance to see where I stack up. We struggled a little bit throughout practice, but we got better in the race, and we were able to get a top 10 out of it.
Which is an amazing accomplishment considering, probably 70, 75 cars, whatever it was, that attempted to qualify for that?
Yeah, it is. I wanted to finish in the top 3 or 5 or try and get a win, but we kind of knew our goals going into the race just with how practice had gone, so we just kept fighting and doing the pit stops and just run all the laps.
For you now, I mean, looking back on this season, is there a particular moment in this campaign that really stands out to you, William, or that you really started to believe, okay, there's a legitimate shot that we're going to be going home with this trophy if we keep doing what we're doing?
Yeah, I think it was just that first win was kind of told myself, okay, we can get the maximum points, because if you can't win, it makes it so much harder to win a championship. So when we got that first win, that was kind of the moment where I said, okay, we can run for this championship. And it just kind of took off from there.
You took off from there. You end up with 4 wins with a championship trophy here at the end of the day. I mean, for you, where does this stack up, this championship, among everything else that you've done in your short career? I mean, we stop and consider you've only been doing this 3 years now.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the number one accomplishment so far. So it's big for me, but I think also just to kind of carry it on to something bigger next year and be able to represent that championship the way it should be with running competitive in the truck series.
Going to 2016 now, obviously, the truck deal with Kyle Busch Motorsports is going to be a big deal for you, William. I mean, how much confidence does this K&N championship give you going into next year, knowing that, hey, we've gone out, we've points raced, and we've won, and now we're taking the next step?
Yeah, I think it's big. I think the most important thing was to have wins and to race competitively and almost not points race in an aspect, and just go out there and be as competitive as you could at tracks like Dover, New Hampshire, places all race in the truck series. So truck series is going to be quite a bit harder, I feel like, but I've got the right equipment and the right guys.
We're going into the off season. Obviously, the holidays are coming up. We've asked a few people on our shows this. I want to ask you, as far as Christmas gifts, what's one thing that you want out of this year, and what may be the craziest thing you've ever gotten?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I think just want to relax over the Christmas time and just have a chance to think about the races next year, get ready for Daytona in Atlanta. So I think that's probably just the one thing I want for Christmas.
And, hey, your Panthers are 12-0 right now, too, so that's got to help.
Oh, it's awesome. And Hornets are second in the Eastern Conference. So I heard last night on Twitter, it's quite the time to be a Panthers fan. So
I know there's a lot of people that have gone into this, William. One more time, the crew members, sponsors, shout-outs. Who do you need to thank, and who makes it happen for William Byron and the 9 team?
Yeah, I think just H. Scott Motorsports with Justin Marks did a great job this year, and Liberty University. They'll be in their 3rd year sponsoring me next year in the truck series full-time. So we couldn't do it without those 2 people, and my parents and everybody else that's helped out this whole year.
And he heads to Kyle Busch Motorsports in 2016 on the heels of a championship. William Byron, I know you're hoping to celebrate this weekend, and definitely congratulations again on a fantastic year.
Thank you.
And Tom, I mean, you look at the season that this young man has had at just 18 years old. How high can he climb, I think, is the question everybody's asking now. You and I have known that he had the potential to be this good ever since he started in a Legends car 3 years ago. Now he's a NASCAR champion and going full-time in the trucks. And I'm going to make a bold prediction and say, like Eric Jones, he's going to have the equipment and the potential to win the championship in the Truck Series next year in his rookie year.
Well, I think both drivers in that stable are going to have what it takes next year to run for the championship in those trucks, as I believe that Ben Rhodes will as well.
Agreed.
With ThorSport, Williams certainly has. It was one thing to win a bunch of races in a Legends car against, drivers your age and, when he clearly had superior equipment. That was one thing. It's a whole other thing when you get to the late model level and when you get to the K&N level and start winning races in those cars, because everybody there is, practically in the same equipment as you. And, William had a phenomenal season this year. He earned every bit of that title. And I think he's going to do very well in the trucks. He's very coachable. And I think that's what's going to make a big difference. His ears are going to be wide open. And Kyle Busch is a pretty good coach.
Yeah, he is a pretty good coach. He's only won about, 45 of those truck races. It's been a few for sure. And, he's one of the best in the business at the NASCAR National Series ranks. William, like you said, going to have a great crew and a great group of people to learn from. And, a lot of these guys have learned this year and been very successful. And on the other side of this, we're going to hear from another young standout who captured the other half of the K&M Pro Series championship fight in 2015. We go to the West Coast right after this, Tom, and we hear from Chris Eggleston out west.
Look forward to that, and we will be back on the other side of this break. You are listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Getting your child home safely.
Tap your views together 3 times.
Is just a click away.
There is no place like home.
But making sure your child is in the right seat is just one of the steps down the road to safer travels.
I don't know how it works.
Find the right seat for your little one's age and size. There's no better way to get home safely. Know for sure that your child is in the right seat.
How can I ever thank you enough?
Get all the facts at safercar.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsport. Performance Motorsports Network.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You could kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444. Now, back to more with Tom and the Speed 77 radio crew. It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. We call it Thursday Night Thunder here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
And it is that.
It is certainly that tonight. It's our Night of Champions. Tom Baker and Jacob Seelman around the round table talking motorsports and hearing from the various NASCAR Series champions here this evening. And we just heard from William Byron, who was the K&M Pro Series East champion. Now, Jacob, we get to go out west and hear from the K&M Pro Series West champion, Chris Eggleston, who was probably a much bigger surprise in terms of winning the title, but certainly earned it just as much.
Yeah, he did. He got 2 wins this season. And you know what? If Chris was a surprise champion, it was more a surprise to himself than anybody else, because Bill McAnally, his team owner, believed in him from the very start. And,
yes, he did.
You know, this was a one-time deal in 2014. McAnally hired him for one race at his home racetrack at Colorado National Speedway. Chris won that race. It turned into a full season ride that came together about a month before the start of the season, and he took the series by storm, won the championship. One of my favorite interviews that we've done all year long, and definitely enjoyed this one because Chris is just so real. You know, he's got the raw emotion, the raw passion for this sport, and I love hearing from drivers like that because sometimes I think there's not enough of that in this sport, Tom, and all you race fans will get to hear it right now. We'll go back to the tape. Chris Eggleston, the 2015 and his first NASCAR K&M Pro Series West championship. Sitting down at the GoPro Motorplex, Chris Eggleston, the 2015 NASCAR K&M Pro Series West champion. One race turned into a full-time drive, has turned into a championship, and now Chris has turned into a full-time opportunity to defend that championship. How surreal has this been for you? I mean, you're one of the older young guns in the series, so to speak, and now you're a champion with a chance to repeat.
Yeah, I feel like I'm living the true Cinderella story. Some of the people have learned my story over the last year or so. It started off with me literally just cold calling team owner Bill McAnally, and we actually just talked about this last night after the deal, and he come over and said thank you for picking up that phone, because you don't often see a driver pick up a phone and call a team owner, and just worked really hard to put a one-race deal together. You know, it's very hard to compete at this level. It takes great people and partners such as Napa Filters, Toyota, to put something like this together, and for us to take advantage of that opportunity and put it in the winner's circle that night. My one shot probably ever to do anything. Kind of got my foot in the door with Bill and showed him, you know, what we can do in a race car, and it was really cool for him to call me up. It was probably barely a month before the season started. We still didn't have a full deal together, and we had planned on running the season opener if we could, but that still wasn't for sure. And I'll never forget, you know, back at home, I worked for my family-owned and operated fire sprinkler contracting business, you know, 40, 50 hours a week, and I get a phone call during the work week, and it's Bill McAnally, and I said, this is weird that he's calling me during normal hours, must be important. Pick up the phone, and never forget when he shared it with us that we'd be running the full season that year, that we'd gotten everything put together and worked so hard and vigorously to put something like that together. And man, it's cool that paid off. Got 2 big wins this year, Irwindale Speedway and Shasta. and cap off the season with a big championship is just a great way to repay Bill and his wife, Deanna McAnally, for giving me this chance and opportunity on a lone kid, stranger from Colorado, where a lot of people don't even know racing exists out there. So just a really cool opportunity and just really blessed to be here.
Chris, you mentioned you'll never forget getting that phone call and hearing that news. A lot of our fans don't really understand all of the little things that have to come together and what happens next after Bill McAnally says, okay, we're going to race a full season. Talk a little bit about what do you do first after you hear that?
Yeah, that's only the beginning of the battle, right? I mean, there's so much to get aligned, not only with crew chief communication and driver getting stuff aligned and getting that, mojo, so to speak, flowing going into that first race at Kern. I tell a lot of people it was really easy at the beginning of the season because most people didn't expect much out of the 99 car. It got a little different halfway through the season when we're winning races, leading the points. Everybody expected the world out of you. It was almost funner when people didn't expect. Not that we weren't put in a great situation. That's the glory of it, and that's the best part. But just a lot of hard work, and those guys over at Bill McAnally Racing pour their heart and soul, and I got really fortunate with an awesome car chief who worked vigorously week in, week out, extra hours, and it really paid off. Never had a parts failure all season long and kept us in contention for that championship, which is hard to come by. I mean, these cars go through a lot of attrition, and for us not to have a parts failure or not have a DNF all season long was really cool and a testimony to that team.
That's what I was going to ask you about next, was the consistency that you guys were able to achieve as a team. Talk a little bit about that from the on-track standpoint as well as obviously the standpoint of the car not having any failures.
Yeah, the K&N West Series, historically you have the one veteran, whether it's a Greg Pursley, David Mayhew, Eric Holmes, or whatever, that goes out and wins 5-6 races. This year, it had the most competition out of any of them, and so consistency was key, I mean, there wasn't a driver that won more than 2 races throughout the whole season, which, again, is a testimony to the series and the competitors and how competitive it was. So for us to get 9 top 5s out of 13 races was a really big part of this championship run and drive. And it was really cool. Those 2 wins were huge, leading the laps we did, the most laps at a few places, just making sure we were running up front and didn't put ourselves in a position where we may, chance at a DNF or a crash or what have you. Obviously the first half of the race, we're there to win races, and then the last few start ticking along, and you kind of go into conservation mode. And going into Phoenix, everyone knows going into the last race of a championship run, you don't sleep a lot, you're a little crabby, you want to be alone, and there's just a lot that could happen out of your control, and that's most of the times what you're worried about. Just so happy everything worked out, and just so cool that we could have the support of Napa with us all season long and have them there at Phoenix, and that championship run is really cool.
Where do you see the K&M West Series now, Chris? I mean, you kind of classify yourself as one of the veterans after this run, but you were up against all season long a couple of guys, Noah Gregson, Grayson Raz, Ryan Partridge, all these guys that are rookies, but they're showing speed, staying right with you. I mean, do you feel like this series is going to be really healthy and have a really good crop of drivers going into next year?
Yeah, I hope so. To be honest, I felt like I was a rookie this year other than my yellow stripe on the back bumper, but I'd only run a handful of K&N races. But yeah, I mean, at times I do feel like the veteran just because of my age, and you're just seeing the younger generations stepping into the sport, and a lot of them have a ton of talent. And so to your point, yeah, I mean, a lot of those drivers have a year under their belt. They're going to come, Blades of Glory next year, and they're going to be really good. I see nothing but the K&N West Series getting more and more prosperous, growing, not only from a competitive standpoint, but a notoriety standpoint. My teammate Brandon McReynolds in the Napa 16 car definitely put the West Series back on the map when he went out and swept Iowa. Great job by him and that whole organization for him to do that when the East is predominantly, pretty much cleaned house over there. So the West Series is looking extremely healthy, and it always helps when I can race door handle to door handle with William Byron on the go-kart deal here at the GoPro Motorplex and come out on top. So just continue to build up the West Coast. I'm from the West Coast in Colorado, born and raised, and really cool when we get to go race in the East as well.
It's been a lot of fun. I know there's a lot of people. You mentioned a few of them already. Who are the people that make it happen on this 99 bunch?
Yeah, so everybody knows in racing there ain't one person. There's so many pieces of the puzzle to come together. And Paul Cortman with Napa Filters helped us out a ton. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Batteries, Napa Belts and Hoses, NGK Spark Plugs, Toyota Valvoline Oil, H2O Fire Protection, all those people co-aligning to create this end goal. And what a great way then to cap off the season and share this championship with each and every one of them. It's really cool.
It's been a lot of fun, and you get another chance to do it next year, so we hope to have you back on here in the new year, and looking forward to great things in year 2, Chris.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
And you listen to somebody like Chris Eggleston and go, all right, how high can he climb as well? I mean, both of our K&M Pro Series champs, Tom, for 2015 have so much potential going into this next year. Byron in the trucks and Eggleston getting a second shot in the K&M Pro Series West to defend that title. Both fantastic ambassadors for this sport.
Well, they are. They're both very personable, very marketable, very well spoken, and they have a lot of passion for what they do. And Chris comes from a little bit of a different place than William.
Colorado.
Well, that, but also, being a little older.
True.
And in a situation where for him, this really is probably his last opportunity, and I don't mean literally this year, but in terms of his age and such,
his last opportunity to prove himself,
right? And so he needs to go out, and if K&N is going to be what he's doing in 2016, he needs to go out and prove himself again, and hope that leads maybe to some truck races or maybe an Xfinity Series ride, something like that. This is really his time to shine, and he's certainly proved this past year that he was capable of mixing it up with some very stout competition out there.
Oh, absolutely. And, that whole team has been impressive. For Bill McAnally, this is his 6th K&M Pro Series West Championship. That ties a record. The Ray Elder team also got at 6 Owners Championships back in the early days of the NASCAR K&M Pro Series West. So
was that back when it was Winston West?
I believe that was back when it was Winston West, going way back in the history books. So
it is Throwback Thursday.
It is Throwback Thursday. We like it that way. And, because it's Throwback Thursday, we're going to throw it back to the oldest division in NASCAR. When we come back from our next break, we're going to talk to the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour champion, the oldest series in NASCAR. Doug Coby wins his 3rd championship in 4 years, and you'll hear from him when we come back. You're listening to the Night of Champions on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports show, only on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speeds, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
The odds of a young girl being discovered by an industry insider while singing to herself pumping gas. 1 in 300 million. The odds of a daughter of a clergyman from Severn, Maryland, spending 11 weeks at number 1 on the U.S. singles charts. 1 in 19 million. The odds of going on to win 7 Grammy Awards. 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of selling over 40 million records. 1 in 800,000. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism. 1 in 68. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Eric Darnell.
This is David Reagan.
Jamie McMurray.
This is Carl Edwards here for RED,
the entertainment industry's voice for road safety.
Want to make a difference? It's simple. Be responsible.
Plan ahead. Designate before you celebrate.
Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network. Here we go with more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on PMN. Tom Baker and Jacob Seelman, both of us from RaceChaserOnline.com, talking racing with you here on a special Thursday night for us, our final Thursday night show of the year, and it is our annual Night of Champions.
Second annual Night of Champions. We did this last year and had so much fun. We had so much fun last year, we decided we would do it again. And Tom, our next champion out of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, one that we've had on the show several times this year because he won 7 races in 2015 and hopes to win a few more in 2016. Doug Coby was a man on a mission and had to be perfect in the latter stages of the season to wrap up his 3rd crown. He was perfect. 3 poles and 3 wins in the final 3 races.
I love me some modifieds. And boy, Doug Coby sure did make that series a very interesting one down the stretch. You know, he and Ryan Preece in particular really had themselves a battle. Justin Bonsignor. That series is just so much fun to watch. And, you know, we'll talk as we get into 2016 about what they got up in 16 on their schedule, and just some real special things for me on that. Mm-hmm. Definitely excited about what Doug Coby was able to accomplish. You know, a guy, you know, that whole race team has just so earned that championship. They're a great bunch of guys, and they really have supported the tour well. And I think Doug really took his driving up a notch this season.
Yes,
for sure.
I think he did too. And, you know, if he was good last year, he was brilliant this year. So let's hear from Doug Coby on both his season and some of the special things that Tom and I alluded to just a minute ago, because he had a lot to say on 2016 as well.
Jacob Seelman and Tom Baker for Race Chaser Online and the Performance Motorsports Network. Doug Coby crowned for the 3rd time as the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour champion. It's been a fun last 4 years for you on the tour, Doug. No worse than 2nd. You've scrapped it out with Ryan Preece, it seems like, every year, and come away with the Crystal Bowl for the 3rd time and swept Thompson this year, too. So there's been a lot of highlights in 2015.
Yeah, we definitely had a season to remember, and sometimes it's hard to think about all these little accomplishments that we were managed to put together because you just focus on the points championship. But even, you know, the Thompson sweep and the last 3 wins from the pole. So you've got, you know, just a great end to the season. And regardless of whether we won points or not, you know, it was still the best we could have done. And that's what we said after we wrecked at Bristol, was go out there and do the best we can possibly do in the last 4 races. And aside from a 2nd at Riverhead, we were pretty darn close to being perfect. So we're pretty happy with that.
I would imagine so. It was an incredible run to close this season. Incredible first year with LFR chassis, too. I know how big it was for them to go out and have a lot of success on the tour this year. Talk a little bit about, you know, bringing LFR into the spotlight. And I know this year it was really kind of back to basics for the tour because you had a bunch of different chassis designers kind of going back at it almost like the old days.
Yeah, it seems like after the LFR came out, then Troyer came out with some new designs and certainly improve their cars as well. So, and Kenny Berry with his Spafco car is always trying new stuff and being innovative. But the LFR car, just for us was, more of a decision based on the bond that Robbie Fuller and Phil Moran, my crew chief, have. Phil knew that car was going to be what he would have designed if he had built his own race car. It would have been pretty much the LFR car. So it was an opportunity for Phil to play with that. And, we knew pretty early on that we had a special piece there. We just didn't know how it was going to run at every track. And, I said after we won the first Thompson race that, that's great. We might be good at Thompson, but we might be, terrible everywhere else. And I think the thing that most impressed me about the car was the short track performance at Monadnock and Riverhead. We won Monadnock and then finished second and third at Riverhead. And, I had always run good at Monadnock, but never really was a contender at Riverhead. And I think we went out there, were fast in practice, fast in qualifying, and fast in the race. And that's, with no redraw in our series, and you start first or second on a quarter mile, you're probably going to stay there unless you screw up. And, I led a lot of laps at Riverhead for the first time in my career and screwed up, and that's how we finished second. So hopefully next year we have a car that can go back there and be equally as fast, and then I just won't screw up because I just have a better understanding of the place now that I have a good car.
7 wins, 6 poles this season. Obviously, the 4 wins coming at Thompson. But what moment from this season stood out to you? I know one that you really kind of circled was the performance at Loudon and having success not just at Thompson, but really at all types of tracks. But I know how important that New Hampshire win is.
Yeah, up at Loudon, we brought that car. We had wrecked the car that we first ran at Loudon at Bristol, and we brought a brand new car to Loudon and never even shook it down at a local track beforehand. So it was the first time the car ever saw the track, and it was second fastest in practice, won the pole, and then led 88 laps. And there was a little bit of controversy at the end of the race, but we had a stellar car all weekend, and I think the best car ended up winning the race. And of course, I hate how things happen at the end because it kind of put a black eye on the rest of the season. But like you said, 7 wins and 6 poles. There was nobody else out there could do that. Nobody else out there could come close to that. And I think no matter what other controversy there was, I think we showed that we had the best car at all the different tracks all season long.
So looking ahead to next year, talk a little bit about what'll be going on with you next year. I know some different tracks on the tour, some tracks coming back to the tour, like Oswego, which hasn't hosted a tour race since 1989. What are your thoughts just looking ahead for 2016?
Well, if we have all the same tracks we had this year, plus, 2 more, that makes me a happy camper. I don't care what 2 they are. And if I know Seekonk is pretty much confirmed for a September race, which is right at the end of the season. And I think Oswego might be the week before that. So,
that's what we're hearing.
What a great schedule that puts together for us. I think there's some things we could fill in the spring that would really be amazing if we could get to 18, 19, 20 races with some maybe, mid-Atlantic or southern tracks or Midwestern tracks where the weather's decent, in May. We need some May and June races, I think, to get us started. But Seekonk coming back is huge. It's a tough little place, and most people say they hate Seekonk, and I used to hate Seekonk, but since the tour has last race there, I've won a couple of shows there, and I really think I figured that track out. So I'm excited to go there, and I've never even seen Oswego. So what a challenge that will be for our team. We'll probably go test there beforehand. You can bet that because I'll have, never seen the place, no laps around it. And, I'm sure we'll adapt. I've seen videos and whatnot, but in terms of scheduling, this is what should be done. When you start getting televised races and you get fans excited, and hopefully they made these races affordable for the tracks that they can, Seekonk's going to pack that place for the tour race. I guarantee you that place will be sold out, and they can probably fit 5,000 to 8,000 people easy around that place. So that'll be a great little short track to go to. And, it's just keeping everybody excited, and hopefully we can keep the television package going. That was a huge thing to add to our series this year was the tape delay TV coverage. It's just amazing.
Oh, I agree. it seems like, I know we've seen a couple of teams go away from the tour since the end of the season, but it seems like some new teams are forming too. So it definitely looks like good things ahead for the tour, especially now, as you say, with the addition of the television. That can only help.
Yeah, it's certainly nobody can complain when you're adding to the schedule and getting more televised races. I'd love to see them get every race televised, and I'd love to see the Loudon races be live as opposed to tape delayed, because I think that's the one race that I don't want the short tracks to be hurt by live television broadcast when people don't have to go to the track. But I think Loudon's one of those tracks that people across the country would tune in to see live as opposed to tape delay.
Right.
And, as long as they start tweaking stuff, we'll be good to go.
I know there's a lot of people that go into this deal. You mentioned your crew chief, Phil Moran. I know Mike Smeriglio, your team owner, is a big part of this. Sponsors, supporters, who else makes it happen?
Yeah, sure. Doug Dunleavy is our big guy, and of course everybody on both modified tours should be so thankful for him. We won $12,000 from him just for winning the pole at Thompson, so what a great guy he is. And then we've got Hex and Fox Shocks and A&J Romano Construction, Bob Bruno Race Engines, Robert Yates Racing Engines, Draco Springs, Willwood Brakes, Magnus Racing Products, BA Headers. We've got a ton of people that are helping us out, and we really appreciate all their support, and hopefully they stay with us and give us more good stuff.
You're hoping for more good stuff and a 4th championship in 2016, Doug. Always a pleasure, always fun, and looking forward to this new season.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys doing what you do, and we'll see you next year.
We will see Doug Coby next year, and I have a feeling we'll be talking to Doug Coby a lot next year.
I think so.
The LFR bunch is getting their cars better and better, and there's no reason that Doug doesn't go into 2016 as the favorite for the championship, despite those new tracks that he mentioned at Seekonk and Oswego. Oswego on Labor Day weekend and Seekonk the following weekend. Those 2 shows highlighting what we anticipate to be released any day now, a 17-race calendar for the Mighty Modifieds in 2016. This is going to be a fantastic year.
Well, it really is. And again, I'm really excited on both ends for the modified tour, both North and South. But yeah, the North tour, I think Oswego is going to be great seeing him back there again on Classic Weekend. And that schedule has been revised a bit to accommodate the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour coming in on Saturday in a doubleheader with the ISMA Super Modifieds. And if you're not familiar with the ISMA Supers, you're going to be seeing, you go there for the modified race, the modified fans are in for a treat. The Supers average 15 seconds around that 5/8 mile track, which is just a skosh over 150 miles an hour average speed. And so for the modified fans who go up there to attend that show, that's going to be great. And again, as Doug said, Seekonk will no doubt sell out for their show. And that is just, I can't even imagine. I've never had the pleasure of seeing modifieds at Seekonk, and I can't even imagine what that's going to be like, because that track is such a neat little place. And man, those cars, that is going to be a whale of a show.
Ask our New England correspondent, Kyle Souza, what it's like to see a modified race at Seekonk. It's unbelievable. I've seen a video, actually, I think twice, of a couple of the Open Wheel Wednesday modified shows that they run up there for the Tri-Track series, and it's madness. There's no other word for it. And it's going to be so much fun. You know, the NASCAR crew will bring fans, and, you know, Seekonk fans will come out in droves to see any modified show. So I'm excited about that. Definitely excited for Doug as he chases his 4th championship. Mike Helton said during the banquet last Saturday night that before too long, we're going to start needing to get measurements for the other hand for Coby, the way he's racking up championships. But, you know, again, congratulations to Mike Smeriglio, Doug Coby, that whole 2 crew on their championship. Doug's 3rd in the past 4 years on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, and we'll stay with the Modifieds and go to the Southern Tour. Come down here for a change when we come back and talk with Andy Seiss, who scratched up his 2nd NASCAR Wheel and Southern Modified Tour championship. You'll hear from him when we come back. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsport.
At 200 miles per hour, many unseen dangers can arise in the blink of an eye. That's why we have spotters high above the track. They help drivers avoid trouble. Parents need to play the same role when it comes to kids and computers. As a parent, I know the internet can take kids to wonderful sites for learning, entertainment, and fun, but it can also lead to danger.
Here are some safety tips. Keep the computer in a family area where you can see it. Proactively teach your children never to share personal information online.
My turn.
Become knowledgeable about signing on to websites, searching for information, and using email and instant messaging. Doing so will help you recognize potential dangers. Familiarize yourself with safer websites and post that list by your computer.
Like our spotters, parents are best positioned to see the dangers kids could face online and to help them avoid them. Make a commitment to keeping kids safe online.
A message from WebWise Kids and Ask.com.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Travel is part of the American way of life.
When we're on vacation, we keep an eye out for anything that looks out of place.
Miss your bag.
When we travel from city to city, we pay attention to our surroundings.
Everyone plays a role in keeping our community safe.
Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, be aware of your surroundings. If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Hi, this is Ozzy Osbourne. For many years, you know I've had a drink problem and I'm trying to battle that problem every single day. But one thing I don't drive my car when I'm drinking. I get someone to drive me. Do not drink and drive. It's the stupidest thing. If you drink, just don't drive. Not only are you going to hurt yourself, you may hurt some other person, and you wouldn't want that on your conscience, would you?
A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show with Speed 77 Radio's most follically challenged host, Tom Baker.
Wah, 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 wah. Hey, man, bald is beautiful. That's how it works.
You know what? Let's move on now before I get real inclined to back away.
In a lot of trouble. You just hush over there.
Yeah.
I am the aforementioned follically challenged Tom Baker, and I am joined by the managing editor of Race Chaser Online, Jacob Seelman.
Who's working on being follically challenged.
Yeah, you're headed that way faster than you know. I got the tomahawk in the other room. We are talking Night of Champions here tonight. Let's move on, please. Andy Seiss, who's not follically challenged, I might add, was a champion again in the Whelen Southern Modified Tour. And Jacob, you know, Andy didn't necessarily start the year off the way he wanted to, but you know what? He's living proof that it doesn't matter where you start. It only matters where you finish.
Yeah, exactly right. He dug a very deep hole after completing every lap but one last season. He crashed out on lap 14 of the season opener at Caraway this year, and then 2 weeks later crashed out at South Boston and was in such a deep hole, last in points through the first 3 races. He thought, there's no way this is going to happen. But again, overcoming adversity, he said, was the theme to this season. They came back. They won the second South Boston race along with 2 others to put themselves in position to win a championship going into the final race at Charlotte in October, and that's exactly what they did. Finished 6th as the last modified on the lead lap on that quarter mile at Charlotte to win the title for the second year in a row. He becomes just the 3rd multiple champion of the Southern Modified Tour in its about dozen years of existence now, and it's been a whole lot of fun to watch this tour grow in 2015 and really come into its own. And Andy's excited about it, as well as where this road may take him in 2016. So let's hear from the Hampstead, New Hampshire native that now calls the Carolinas home. He's relocated down here, and it's given him 2 championship rings. Continuing our quest through the champions here for 2015, the NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour champion for the 2nd consecutive year, Andy Seiss. You get it done again, you, Eddie Harvey, everybody at Ideal Racing, and what a year it was, from starting and crashing, finishing dead last in the very first race of the season to coming all the way back, winning 3 times, and ultimately hoisting the trophy when it matters most at Charlotte. I mean, this was a roller coaster season. I know a lot of emotions, but how sweet was the final outcome?
Just incredible. I'm getting chills just you talking about it again because it was just so exciting. Like you said, last year's legacy was we completed every lap but one, and this year's legacy is going to be overcoming adversity, because to be wrecked and finish last in the very first race of the year, our home track Caraway, where we've had so much success, you know, you almost go there and count on getting maximum points at a place like that with the success we'd had. So to put ourselves in a hole very early, and then 2 races later do it again at South Boston, a place that we are the most successful team. You know, those are 2 places you bank on getting a lot of points, and then not needing to make it up at places that are a little bit not in our favor, like the Bowman Grays and Charlottes. but the team never gave up. We carried on. Looking back, it's going to be that win at South Boston, second to last race, that really put us in that position, quite literally. We took over the lead with one race to go and didn't have the best race at Charlotte, but just the theme of the year was overcome adversity. Team stuck together, and like you said, we were able to hoist the trophy when it matters, and it's a pretty just an incredible feeling. And then you get back into the life of things, and then you come here and NASCAR treats you like a king for a week, and we get to go celebrate with our team Saturday night. It's going to be pretty awesome.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. I mean, you join the likes of two-time champ Junior Miller, and then, Georgie, who's got 4 of them. You've got 2 now. Just to be able to join that legacy and be one of only 3 multiple champions and, be talked about with them. I mean, you and GB3 are now fighting for the wins record and the poles record just about every race you go to, and that's got to be pretty special.
Yeah, it's pretty neat because we've actually matched each other's wins the last few years. So I think it was 3 years ago, we said, maybe we can knock them off the top, and we've kept that gap, year after year. But just incredible. When you do it back to back, it kind of shows that different rules from year to year. We can step up the game, we can capitalize on it, we can take advantage of everything, and dominate for 2 years. It's just something incredible. I thought one was enough. I said I don't need it. It's just incredible to do it one time and be in the record books, but to do it twice, to do it back to back, just kind of really solidifies our names in the history books.
Okay, so you've dominated basically for 2 years. Tell us about 2016. I know you've got an ARCA car, you've got some things. What does 2016 look like for you?
A lot is changing. You could say not as much changed over last year as far as Ideal Racing. We're going to switch chassis programs. We're leaving Troyer Race Cars and Northeast Race Cars, who have been amazing to us, our relationship. I'm still going to have a relationship with them on my own team and customers that I deal with. However, Ideal Racing is going to go to LFR chassis, and we're excited about that move. Over the winter, we've drugged the ARCA cars back out of the, dusted them off, taking them out of the shed, and got a new Ilmore spec motor we're going to Daytona with. So that's something really exciting. We got in a little bit over our heads last year, just invested some money in motors at the wrong time when it wasn't the way to go. And, we scaled back. So going to Daytona again, going to be buying a downforce car to do some mile-and-a-half stuff. So really excited about my relationship with Brian Doza and the ARCA Racing program. Hopefully more stuff with Jim Rosenblum in the truck series, that 28 FDNY trucks. Great awesome program to be involved with. They give all the earnings back to the families, Widows and Children's Fund of September 11th. So not only is it neat to be looking down the schedule of the trucks and know that I'll have a handful of those, but that operation is just a neat deal to be a part of. So hopefully it all works out and the stars align. Luck hasn't always been on my side when I need it, and I'm not prepared, but this year hopefully I can take a step back and be more prepared for each one of those steps and be able to capitalize on them.
Have you had a chance yet to really stop and look back and realize that, okay, we're on the verge of taking maybe a next step up the mountain a little bit after all the hard work that's come before, now starting to talk about more ARCA, talk about some truck racing? That's got to be a great feeling for you, because I know it's been a long time trying to get to this point.
Yeah, it really is. And, I'm a blue-collar, small-town kid who just knows how to work, and all I know is how to go to the shop, work on the race cars, get them better, and not blame anybody but myself for not having them prepared. So day to day, it's small hills that you climb, and you try to get better. And recently somebody asked me, what would 16-year-old you think? And that was really neat to just reflect on that, where I've come from in 10 years of when I was there. And I would have never dreamt it was possible. I begged and hoped and pleaded and prayed and all that. But it's a really neat deal to look back, and just the fact I've been to Daytona in a race car, I think the number one thing on my bucket list is really to compete in a race. I have not competed in a race. I've attempted to qualify. We didn't get in, but, there's no shame in that, because it should be hard. Your number one goal in life should be very hard to achieve. If it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be as rewarding. So that's it. It's really neat. I mean, who'd have thought, growing up at Star Speedway, just glued to the fence, really idolizing the local racers, that I'd be able to go there, win there, move on, travel the Northeast, and then get opportunities to come here, travel on the East Coast, working on race cars, being at places like Bristol, Daytona, Talladega, and I still, even Loudon, it's 45 minutes from my parents' front doorstep, but every time I get to go to Loudon, I really appreciate it. It's a pretty dream come true for sure.
And I know looking ahead to 2016, Tom mentioned it, the switch over to LFR chassis, getting a lot of help from Rob Fuller and all the guys over there in the LFR shop. I mean, how excited are you to make that change and, try something new for 2016 and maybe some new technology?
Really exciting. I'm a little bit of a race car geek, I call myself. I'm really into technology, information, and they have some things to offer us that nobody else could. So I'm really excited about getting over there with all the very impressive personnel they have between Rob Fuller himself, both Tony Erie Jr. and Sr., Ryan Stone, Jeff Foltz, and the equipment they have. It's been a neat journey kind of doing this together. They approached us, and they were thinking that maybe we could offer them something. They wanted to be in a championship team. And when we got to talking, it was like an instant chemistry there. It was one big team. They can bring some stuff to the table that I had no idea about, and they didn't realize, I think, how much it took to win a championship on the Southern Tour, what we went through week to week. So, but really looking forward to being a part of what they can show us because they're very, very intelligent and ahead of the ball. So I really think that if all the pieces align, all the stars align, it could be big, and we could come out of the gate swinging.
Great season takes great people. Who do you need to thank, Andy, for making this second championship a reality?
Well, first and foremost, Eddie Harvey for just giving me the opportunity to drive for Ideal Racing. They've had incredible success before me. They'll have success after me. It's great to just be a part of it. Phoenix Pre-Owned Motors, Ideal Finance, Race and Electronics, Pro System Brakes, Goodrich, LaJoy of Seating, Leaf Racewear, Rockingham Boat, Newman Lawnmower, First Choice Auto, Big power by Raymonk Race Engines. Nobody thought we could do it with a built race motor this year. Everybody said we had to go spec, and it's been a great relationship working with the Ray Hillies and really feeling it's just one big team. It's not just our engine supplier, but it almost reminds me of a cup team of old where, it's a single car and you have your sole engine builder. So it's a really neat deal. And, again, I don't think people realize how much work it takes for a little team like ours to go out on top, win the championship 2 years in a row.
Andy Seiss, the two-time and 2015 Whelen Southern Modified Tour champ, always a pleasure, and we're looking forward to more from you in 16, my friend.
Well, thank you.
Andy Seiss, always a great interview, and a very deserving champion. That whole team just really has come together over the last couple of years and has gotten so tight. And I see no reason why a change over to LFR will do anything other than make them even tougher, which is a little scary for the competition, actually.
Holy cow. Is it ever a little scary? I mean, you look how good they were down the stretch in 2015. And, I talked to Eddie Harvey at Charlotte even before they were looking at going to LFR for 2016. And he looked me right in the face, Tom. You were watching when I was talking to him, and he said, we're going after the three-peat. He's confident they can do it. And he's a team owner with I think the word I would use is spunk. He's excited. He's not afraid to go out and do what it takes.
Yeah, lots of passion. He really he really loves it. He lives it. Andy lives it. And you heard Andy talk about it. He's a small town kid who knows how to work. And that's the type of a driver that I think any team owner would be proud to have. Somebody who isn't willing to spend all day or more than willing, I meant to say, to spend all day in the shop, just busting tail on the race cars and doing every little thing possible to make them quicker. So definitely, Andy, congratulations to them on another championship. With that, we will step aside. Around the turn, our Night of Champions continues. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Voice of Motorsports, the Performance Motorsports Network.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
This is Paul Stanley from KISS for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. Some of us work months producing a CD, but in less time than it takes to play it, someone will be killed in an alcohol-related crash. So please don't drive when you've been drinking. Plan ahead. Arrange a designated driver. Remember, friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsport. Performance Motorsports Network.
This is Joey Logano, driver of NASCAR number 22 Discount Tire Car. You know something? You and I aren't all that different. I drive a car, you drive a car. My car has tires, your car has tires. I may be going just a little faster than you each weekend, but we both need to keep those tires properly inflated to stay safe. So be tire smart and do your part. Check your tire pressures once a month and before every long journey.
Visit BeTiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
We now return you to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. And here's the guy who lost the hula hoop contest at the last PMN Summer Picnic because he just can't hula hoop. It's Tom Baker.
I wish they'd stop bringing that up. Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker and Jacob Seelman from RaceChaserOnline.com around the round table here this evening as we get closer and closer to the Christmas holiday. This is our final show for 2015. It's our Night of Champions, and we now have the opportunity to do something I always love to do. Talk about a Canadian racer, eh?
We're going international right now on our Night of Champions. The next two segments, we'll hear from three of the NASCAR International Champions for 2015. We start, as Tom said, in Canada, because Scott Steckley in 2015 went on a rampage. He picked up his fourth NASCAR Canadian Tire Series championship in the final year with Canadian Tire as his primary sponsor and the series sponsor. You send them out on a high and give them everything they came for. That's what this driver did, and I've always liked Scott. He's second all-time on the wins list, just one behind Andrew Ranger, and now extends his record for most championships in the series, Tom. And, this is a racer who just knows how to race. He's won 4 of the 9 all-time championships in the Canadian Tire Series and shows no signs of slowing down.
No, not at all. Scott's certainly, in fact, if anything, it seems like he's ready and rocking again for 2016. Let's hear what Scott has to say about his 2015 season, his championship, and his plans for the future.
Sitting down, starting Champions Week for the 2015 NASCAR Touring Series, and Scott Steckley coming down from north of the border, the 2015 and now four-time NASCAR Canadian Tire Series champion, setting a lot of records this year, Scott, and had a lot of success along the way. Last year of your guys' partnership with Canadian Tire, last year the series partnership with Canadian Tire, and you definitely send it away on a really high note. How big was this season for you and the whole 22 racing camp?
It definitely was one of the biggest seasons of my career, that's for sure. Canadian Tire has been a great partner to myself, my own team, and to NASCAR in Canada. They've been with the series for 9 years. They've been with myself for 7 years, so I can't thank them enough. But they want to go in a different direction, which is good, and they're fine for them, and I just can't thank them enough. But as far as my race team, we had a great season. We had a slow start. We had some DNFs at the start of the year, and after that just started picking up and winning races, and everything went good.
The battles over the years that you've had in this series en route to a championship, I mean, Andrew Ranger, DJ Kennington, Jason Hathaway, I think more recently, and even LP, some of the French Canadians that have really come in and made their marks here over the last couple of years. How big has the competition been, especially this year? I think we've seen more winners in some of the most competitive Canadian Tire races in a long time.
Yeah, every year everybody steps up their game. The names you said, DJ, Jason, Andrew, LP, they're all great racers. We have a lot of fun racing each other, but anybody can win any weekend. It's a very tough competitive series, and there's a lot of battles throughout races. We have a lot of 300-lap races, so your car will be good at the start. You got to really manage your tires for the end. There's a lot of battling goes on throughout the entire race.
Talk a little bit about your team partnership that you had this year with Alex Tagliani and that camp. I know he's brought a lot to the 22 racing operation, and I'm sure has probably taught you a little bit over the course of things. I know as an accomplished road racer as he is, I'm sure you've been able to pick up a thing or two and maybe teach a thing or two to him as well.
Yeah, Alex he's a great teammate. He's a great road racer. He's actually starting to do better in ovals than he has been on the road courses lately, but he won his first oval race with our team this year, so that was pretty big for him. He's just a great guy. He's very, very passionate about the sport, and he just wants to make it grow in Canada.
Is there a track or a moment from this season that sticks out to you as one that was really important into your championship run, or maybe a track that you just enjoy coming back to every single year?
Antigonish, Nova Scotia. It's definitely the best track we go to, and just to go there and to be able to win again, it was amazing. We've won there 3 times, so it's definitely my favorite track, and I love going there. And that was kind of the turning point of our season, I think, when we got a good lead and were able to hold it from there on.
I know with 2016, there's a brand new partnership with Pinty's Foods coming on board as the new title sponsor, and a 3-year deal to bring you guys back to Exhibition Place at Toronto beginning in 2016 with the IndyCar race weekend. How big is that for NASCAR in Canada to be able to bring in new partners, bring back some old tracks, and just really start to expand this schedule out a little bit?
It's very big. Pinty's has been involved in the series since 2007. Every year they get to do a bit more. Last season they sponsored 3 races. So to see a company that's been involved that long, they obviously see a lot of value if they want to step up and become the title sponsor. So for them to sign a 6-year deal, it just adds great stability to the series. And then to go back to the Honda Indy in Toronto, it's great for all our local sponsors. Most companies in Ontario have a head office in Toronto, so it's definitely great for sponsors, and it's great to be back at Honda Indy with a 3-year deal.
No chance. I mean, we've seen you with the series sponsor on your car the last couple of years. No chance of you striking a deal with Pinty's, is there?
No, we've talked to Pinty's for the last 3 years about trying to get them on board, but they're pretty set in the way they do stuff, and they want to support everyone in the series. So I'm glad they're supporting the series and wish them well.
I know there's a lot of people that go into any racing deal, but you guys have a lot of supporters and sponsors and people behind the operation that help out. Who do you need to thank, Scott, on this championship run?
Canadian Tire, Mobile One, Maximum Tools, AW Millwrights, Herb Transport, Reefer Sales. I have so many great companies that have been with me for years. AW Millwrights has been with me for 23 years, Herb Transport for 17 years. So it's just great to have that many supporters. And then I just got to thank all my crew and their families for allowing them to go away racing all summer.
With Canadian Tire leaving, I know you guys are actively searching for partnership. No chance that we won't see you on the tour next year, is there?
I don't think so. We have a lot of good stuff on the go right now. We definitely need sponsorship to do the full season next year, but I'm hoping things are going to work out. Things are moving along quite well right now, so we should be back to defend in 16.
It's always fun, and now a 4-time champion of one of NASCAR's Touring Series. Scott, definitely a pleasure to have you on, and we look forward to great things from you next year.
Thank you very much for having me on anytime.
And, thinking about Scott Steckley, and the job that he's done and the number of championships he's won over there now, it's just really amazing, Jacob, that one driver can so dominate a series. And you think about a team that has Scott Steckley and Alex Tagliani.
Yeah.
And I just say to
myself, got the ovals covered, got the road courses covered.
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, they're not the Hendrick Motorsports of Canada or anything.
Not at all. But, again, I'm excited to see what Scott can do in 2016. Likewise, the Scott Steckley of the NASCAR European Championship, the Whelen Euro Series for 2016. Yep. Ander Villarino, his third championship in the 4 years that NASCAR has been sanctioning races in Europe. They added a second oval track to the schedule in Venray this season, and it's been really an incredible job that he's done. Most all-time wins closing in on the 25 mark over there. Keep in mind, we've only had now 4 seasons, 48 races worth in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and Ander has won almost half of them and 3 out of the 4 championships. It doesn't get any more dominant than that. And This is a driver who loves coming over here to Charlotte, even though the opportunities haven't worked out in the U.S. yet. Ander, very personable, very easy to talk to, and just has fun doing what he does, coming over here from Spain.
Yeah, and of course, talking to me about how popular that European series is getting over there, and really cool that he made some comments that we'll talk about afterward at the banquet. We'll talk about those afterward. Let's hear from him as he talks about his 15 season and his championship run.
Breaking down some racing and wrapping up the 2015 NASCAR Touring Series season, and Ander Villarino walks away with his third NASCAR Whelen Euro Series title in 4 years. And Ander, after you lost it a year ago to Anthony there in the last race of the season, just to be able to get back on the top step of the podium, extend your wins record, and really have a lot of success this year, I imagine you've got to be pretty happy with how well this season went for you guys.
Yeah, it's been a great season. As you have said, after losing the championship last year, but just 1 point, I was very difficult to accept, almost impossible to swallow. I got through a very bad winter, and then all the team and me together, we pulled off the job this year, and we said we're in this together. We have to do the best we can and be very smart and think about the championship, not just about winning races. And sometimes when you can win a race, you do whatever you can to win it. But when you can't, and when it's impossible, you just try to, finish in second, third, fourth place, take as many points as you can, and think about the championship. And that's what we have done this year.
You did a fantastic job again here in 2015. For some of the American fans over here on this side that don't get to see a lot of these Whelen Euro Series races, it's a lot of beating and banging, just like it is in the NASCAR Series over here. Talk about some of the competition and some of the tracks that you enjoy on the Whelen Euro Series, because I know the last couple of years they've started giving you guys a couple of oval tracks, which has been a little bit of a learning experience for you.
Yeah, we do 12 races, and 8 of them are road courses, and the other 4 are oval races. And of course, in ovals we're not very experienced. Our experience in Europe is more in road courses, but we are getting to it, and I think we are doing a good job. The races in the ovals are being very, very spectacular, for the fans, and I think they are enjoying it. When you see races like in Tours or like Venray this year. There were many fans there, and it was very funny. But I have to say, for me, my favorite track is the track in Spain, of course, Valencia. They come a lot of people, about 20 to 25,000 people. But the most spectacular event is the Brands Hatch event in England. It's about 50,000 people, and it's amazing being there. The atmosphere, the fans, and I've been very lucky because I won there 5 times. I've won there. Almost every year I've been there in Euro NASCAR, and it's a blast being there. It's unbelievable.
What do you feel like that the NASCAR sanctioning has brought to the European Series? I know, it's brought a lot of press coverage, a lot of media, and really a lot of pathways for you guys. I mean, we watched Anthony come over here to the States and compete in a couple of Xfinity Series races this year, and he's going to compete at Daytona in February. How excited are you to potentially be able to have some of those opportunities now going forward and just seeing the doors that are open for you guys with this sanction?
Yeah, for sure. As you have said, having a NASCAR official championship in Europe is very big, because everybody knows about NASCAR. NASCAR is a very well-known brand. And even if in Europe, people watch more Formula One or these kind of races, when you talk to some of the track operators, they are really surprised because they are selling. Just, it's the third series, for example, in Valencia, NASCAR is the third series selling tickets. It's just Formula One, MotoGP, and then NASCAR in front of DTM, in front of WTCC, World Touring Car Championship, in front of GTs. So it's very big, when you talk about that. And speaking about me coming here, it's quite difficult, Anthony has been very lucky, and I think he's done a great job finding budget. But in Spain right now, the situation is different, the conditions are different, and finding a budget to come here, I think it's too difficult. We're working for it, but by the moment it's too difficult to come as he has done and to make some Xfinity races.
We are glad to see you, though, here celebrating as a champion again, Ander, and I know you've got to be excited going into 2016 to try and defend that title again.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I still don't know how we're going to prepare next year, but right now I want to enjoy this week. It's been fantastic. Yesterday we were at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, at the Hall of Champions, and see my name there for 3 times. It's a huge honor, and I want to enjoy the banquet on Saturday, and let's see next year what happens.
And I know there's a lot of people that make you and your race team successful. Who do you need to thank?
First of all, my team. All the team, they are unbelievable with me. They do a fantastic job all the season long. They put all their effort. My wife, my family, and my sponsors for sure. And that's it. And thanks NASCAR and NASCAR World Euro Series for putting this official championship in Europe. It's been fantastic being 3-time champion. I would have never imagined that I could be a NASCAR champion once, but 3 times it's unbelievable, and I'm very happy for that.
And going for number 4 in 2016, Ander. Definitely a pleasure to have you on the program, and we wish you continued success when you go back home across the pond.
Okay, thank you.
By the way, Tom, let's also paint this picture from the banquet on Saturday night.
Yes.
Ander Villarino may have given the best champions acceptance speech of any of the 7 touring champs that we had Saturday night.
I think.
Oh, definitely the funniest. He was talking about 2011, the year before NASCAR took over sanctioning of the Euro Series, and getting into it with one of his former rivals, now turned teammate in 2015, and said they got together and it spun Ander out. So what did he do? He thought back to the movie Days of Thunder. And what would Cole Trickle do? He waited a lap and then he dumped him. Yeah. And that didn't go over real well. Now they're teammates, Tom, and it's been wild. And I think he mentioned, to get ready for oval racing when they brought the Tour Speedway to the European Championship, he searched YouTube.
Well, they told the drivers that they were going to add a short, flat oval. And so he gets on YouTube and he searches, and the first thing it pulls up for short, flat NASCAR ovals, Bowman Gray Stadium.
Yeah.
And he sees a driver in another driver's windshield going at it.
Burt Myers, coincidentally.
Burt Myers?
Yeah, it was Burt.
I mean, again, what an introduction to oval track racing.
Exactly.
And I think it was at that moment when he realized, okay, maybe I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we're going to get back on track, continue with the international theme after this. You'll hear from NASCAR Mexico champion Ruben Garcia. Right now, you're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of Internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What? No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm going to do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay.
Information.
Let's go back to steel and aluminum stock cars and supplying the SRIs with Race Chaser Online Senior Editor Tom Baker and the Speed 77 radio cast.
Steele,
what?
That was just awful.
Well, that's close enough. I don't care.
That was recorded right at that same exact summer picnic when I lost the hula hoop contest. Yeah, I think Bob had enjoyed himself quite a lot by then. Really into the sauce. Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network, and continuing with our theme for tonight, the Night of Champions, as we salute NASCAR's weekly racing series, Wheel and Weekly Series, and Regional Touring Series champions. And we now move to the NASCAR Series, the Mexican Series. And you know what? Here's a driver, Jacob, that I really enjoyed listening to him at the banquet, and I enjoyed being around him. This driver has just got such a nice way about him. And he really put on a show at the kart race too.
Yeah.
I really had a ball with Ruben.
Ruben Garcia Jr., just 21, 22 years old, the youngest NASCAR Mexico Series champion in history. And, Rookie of the Year back in 2012, now to a championship in 2015. The Mexico Series implementing the 5-race Desafío, their version of NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup championship with the reset, the 3 bonus points, all that jazz. You'll hear Ruben talk about it in a minute. But, an unbelievable job that he did to, as one of the young kids in the NASCAR Next program, like William Byron is, to come away with a championship crown and, really make his mark on this Mexican championship. He's been close in 2013, 2014, and 2015 was when it all came together.
I think we're seeing the next Daniel Suarez is what I think.
I agree.
Yes.
You know what? He reminds me a lot of Daniel Suarez, and any of our race fans that may have heard Daniel speak this year, you'll hear a lot of Daniel in this next interview. Let's hear now from Ruben Garcia Jr. on his Mexico Championship 2015.
The Week of Champions continues here in 2015, wrapping up the 2015 NASCAR Mexico Series season. And Ruben Garcia, you were inducted into the NASCAR Next program this year, and 3 victories, 4 poles later, you walk away with a championship down south of the border. And I know it was really a big accomplishment for you, being one of the young guys in the series. Talk a little bit about the season from your standpoint and just some of the successes you had along the way.
Yes, well, thank you. It was a really great year for me, a year that I learned a lot. I gained a lot of experience. NASCAR Mexico Series is a really competitive series, and for me, being the youngest driver and winning the championship, well, it was big for me, and especially even more, if it was one of my biggest dreams when I was a kid to be first a NASCAR driver. And then when I accomplished that dream, my second dream was to be a NASCAR champion. But it was a big difference between being a NASCAR driver and being a NASCAR champion. So I worked for that, and last year I was really close, even though it was a really hard year for me because I was so close to victory lane many times last year, and because of one thing or another, I couldn't get it done. And this year things started going better since the beginning. I won the first race, and it was a really big motivation for me and a pressure reliever because I tried it so many times, and I was so many close, and it couldn't happen. And then when it happened, it was like glory for me. And that motivated me to keep going to climbing positions on the standings, and till I reached the first place, missing 5 races, and I started opening my gap between me and the second place, and that helped me for the last race, because it was a really interesting race. The guy that was running in second place and me were fighting all the race, so that made it like interesting and for me to enjoy the moment more.
I know this season, the last couple of years, the championships changed just a little bit. The Desafio, kind of like in the U.S., we've got the Chase. You guys have that 5-race playoff in Mexico. I mean, how does that change your guys' focus a little bit with the reset and having a lot less time to be able to get it done when it really counts for the championship?
Yeah, well, you have to understand that format, because being fast the first 10 races, it does matter, because if you win, you will get a reward that is 3 additional points for the Desafio. But it's not everything. I mean, the first 10 races, you have to be smart enough to get all those adjustments and improvements in your car for the last 5 races. It doesn't matter if you go through a Desafio in first or you go to a Desafio in 10th, because at the end of the day, you're going to be all equal in points, plus 3 for each win. So I understood how that works. You just need to be constant the first 10 races and be on the first 10 places. You have the chance to win, go for it, for those 3 points. And then for the last 5 races, there's where the interesting things start, because there you have to take all the information you've earned from the first 10 races and apply it for the last 5 races to be fast and to be... You can't make any mistake, because if you have a DNF on that 5 races, there's no way, or it's almost impossible to come back to the lead. So you have to be always constant and know where you can take risks and where you have to be a little bit calm to don't take any risk.
I know, you guys got to go see your cars in the Hall of Fame last night when you got here. Did it start to sink in then, really, everything that you've accomplished this year when you finally saw your name in the Hall of Champions?
Yeah, well, that's one of the most exciting things I've done as a champion, because when I crossed the start-finish line in Chiapas and I knew I was the champion, it was really exciting for me, but I really didn't know what was actually happening, that I was really the NASCAR champion. I mean, I was enjoying it, but I did not know what really was that means. Then when I went to the Mexico banquet and I saw the name on my name on the trophy, I started like really thinking, well, this big, this is my biggest dream come true, and I thought that by that moment I really know I realized what I was doing. But yesterday, having this dinner and ripping the sticker of my name to show it to the cameras in the NASCAR Hall of Fame and the Hall of Champions, being beside those big names, so it was so big for me, so emotional for me, and I don't know, that's the moment where you realize that all the efforts and all the things you did, not just all over the year, but for the last years, it have now a meaning.
I know you're already looking ahead to next year some too, even as you're celebrating, and I know being in the NASCAR Next program this year has been a big part of helping you be prepared for all this. Do you feel like that's given you a little bit better preparation to go and try to defend the title next year?
Yes, for sure, because even though they don't teach us things on track, well, we have our kart race, but they teach us all the things we need to know as a driver that is not involved with driving. Because NASCAR and sponsors are looking for complete drivers, for prepared drivers, not just drivers that can drive car fast on the track. So I think that have been helping a lot, and especially all the contacts and people that I meet because of the program have been helping me a lot.
And I know there's a lot of people and sponsors that you probably need to thank, Ruben. Who do you need to thank? Who makes it happen for you and your team?
Yes, for sure my team, the full Team GP, my crew chief, Ramiro Fidalgo, and the Canels, Scotiabank, and HDI Insurance for supporting me, not this year, but for many years, especially HDI that has been with me since I started racing professionally. Thank you very much. Of course, my family. And there was a special guy that supported me since the very beginning. That was called Roberto. He was the founder of the Kennels company, and he just he's not here anymore with us. But he was an important thing for me and a motivation for me, because he was a great person, and he supported me all the time, and he did great things in his life that motivate me to always being better.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. And Ruben, again, congratulations on your championship. We're looking forward to seeing you claim the trophy and make the speech on Saturday night. I know you're going to enjoy that, and we look forward to seeing you have more success next year.
For sure. Thank you very much for the moment.
And he had a lot of fun in making his banquet speech on Saturday night, accepting his first NASCAR Mexico Series championship, and definitely building a lot, trying to become like his predecessor, Daniel Suarez. Ruben is to make it to the NASCAR National Series levels going forward. That NASCAR Next program, a big way to do that. So we want to congratulate Ruben on his 2015 championship. And on the other side of this final break, we're going to hear from our final champion in the Night of Champions, Lee Pulliam, the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series national titleist. You'll hear from him when we come back. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more. But the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You are a waste. A loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park. Time for more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on PMN. Here's a man who's in great shape. Well, round is his shape. Give it up for Tom Baker.
Bounce. Well, you know what? It's coming up on Christmas party time and New Year's Eve party time.
It's not a bad thing to be round around Christmas.
I guess not. Definitely Then it leads to the inevitable New Year's resolution to lose weight, which goes out the window about January 12th. That's kind of how that usually works. Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker, the round mound of sound, along with Jacob Seelman, both of us from RaceChaserOnline.com, and make sure that you check out our website each and every day. All kinds of unique content from across the racing world, NASCAR and otherwise. Lots of audio up there and lots of breaking news stories over the last week or so. We'll have complete coverage of the Rumble at Fort Wayne coming up in a couple of weeks. Jacob will be out there along with Ryan Kent.
1 week from today.
1 week from today. Everything gets started out there. Hard to believe Christmas is a week away. But we continue with our Night of Champions here, and we get to the Whelen Weekly Racing Series.
All-American Series.
All-American Series. I never get that all right, and I should apologize to the folks at NASCAR because no matter how long I've been around this, I'm so used to Weekly Racing Series.
It used to be the Dodge Weekly Racing Series, and then when Whelen
hard.
Yes, when Whelen took it over, it became the Whelen All-American Series. But regardless of what it's called now, Lee Pulliam is the champion for the third time in the last 4 years, this time with the Kiker Motorsports team. Travis and Eddie Kiker called Lee and said, let's get together and let's run for a title after we've run against you, and you beat us 2 times in a row. And Lee said, let's do it. It ends with a championship. And after the end of the Whelen Point season, Tom, Lee's season really took a turn after his wife, Leanne, was involved in a very serious car accident on Thanksgiving weekend. And he was getting ready for the Thanksgiving All-Star Classic at Southern National Motorsports Park, wasn't going to run it. Leanne life-flighted to Duke Hospital and basically told him in the hospital, despite a completely broken femur and her hip being messed up, she looks at him and goes, go to the racetrack and win. And what did Lee do? He went to the racetrack and won.
Your wife says to do something.
You go
do it.
Exactly right.
Really happy for
Leanne. Yes, Leanne was able to go out to the racetrack after being released from the hospital and see Lee win that race for the first time. An incredible end to the season, miraculously. I got to talk to Leanne and give her a hug at the banquet. She's doing well, in great spirits. And there was a lot of news that happened at the banquet around the Pulliam family, and we'll explain all of that after you hear this interview. You got to hear about Lee's season first, and then we'll talk about why Leanne recovering from the car crash like she is so miraculous. Here's Lee Pulliam. Sitting down at the GoPro Motorplex and getting ready to wrap up the 2015 season. NASCAR Whelen All-American Series champion Lee Pulliam, third title in 4 years for you. Get back on top this season after Anthony Anders dethroned you a year ago. But this season, I don't know if we can call it a breakout because it always seems like you're this good. But talk about this season. I think it was kind of a resurgence after maybe 2014 didn't go exactly how you hoped. You guys just looked dominant all year, though. It was an impressive ride.
Yeah, I can't thank everybody enough for all their hard work. And 2015 was astounding for us. We won at 6 different racetracks, and we raced at 7. And the only one we didn't win at was Anderson, and we raced there 1 time. So just great work by everybody on the team. And, not only me, but other cars out of our shop had a lot of success. So I was really happy about our program all around. I won a national title and won motor mile track title and late model. And Julia Landauer, she won the limited title out of my shop. And G.R. Waldrop finished 3rd in the standings there. So, we just had a lot of good runs. We worked with a lot of good people this year, and just excited for what next year holds.
I know you're excited about next year, Lee. This season had a lot of high moments, a lot of maybe trials along the way, but the end of this season, I think, was what sticks out to all of us. With you going down to Southern National and winning the Thanksgiving Classic finally for the first time, just a couple days after your wife had the car accident and was so banged up, but she was still there cheering you on. I mean, how emotional was Thanksgiving weekend, just finally being able to get it done and, having all that adversity to fight through along the way?
It was awesome for me. We weren't even going to run a race once she got in the crash, and we were sitting in the Duke Hospital, and I had finished the car the day before, and nothing was loaded up, and she told me that she wanted me to be there, and that she didn't want me sitting there at the hospital, and so we went, loaded everything up, and the rest is history. We won the race, and she got out of the hospital in time to see it and had a nerve block in, and she's tough, so just got to thank her for being behind me and sticking behind me because she's the reason we were even there.
Tell us how she's doing now, Lee.
She's getting better. This has been our best week. Last week was terrible. This week is starting to get better. She's got a lot of staples in her knee and in her leg where they put the rod in because she broke her femur completely in two below her hip. So she's a fighter. She's at the hotel room now because she can't really move around and do anything like this. So we're just I've been doing a lot of wheelchair pushing here lately.
We're talking to you, of course, from the NASCAR Median Champions Karting Challenge. Talk a little bit about how much fun an event like this is to do after all of the hard work that's come from the season. Now you just get to come here and have some fun with some of the other big names in NASCAR.
Yeah, for me, everybody always asks when the championship sinks in. And for me, it doesn't sink in until this week. And, the culmination of all that hard work and dedication, and you see that car, you unload it in the Hall of Fame, and you get celebrated all week, and you celebrate the team's accomplishment. And I think this is the week that all that hard work and dedication and blood and sweat, that it all pays off.
Look ahead to next year. Talk about what 2016 is expected to be like for you, Lee. What are your goals? Where can we see you? Are you going to be back in the late models, or is there anything maybe at a higher level that might be there for you?
I would love to run a higher level, but just sponsorship. It costs so much money to do it, and I've been blessed. I'm able to do what I love, and we keep up cars for other people. So I know we got people that's going to run out of the shop next year, and pretty excited about that. So we've had some big names. I've done stuff for Matt Kenseth. I've done stuff for Chase Elliott, and some really good guys, Dalton Sargent, Kaz Grala, Julia, GR. That's pretty exciting for me, being able to have success with multiple teams out of our shop.
And I think Dalton may be one of the most high-profile names that you've worked with, especially this year, because of all the success he's had running cars out of your shop. I mean, how's it been working with him as being one of those young guys trying to work his way up and being able to mentor him a little bit? Because it seems like he's been a real quick study.
Yeah, the kid, he comes from a good family, and really appreciative of all the hard work you do each and every week, and he pays attention to what goes on, and I really enjoy working with him. All my guys. So I have a great group of racers out of our shop. So hands down, I have a lot of fun with everyone that runs.
And I know a lot of people at Lee Pulliam Performance. Anybody real quick you need to thank?
I just really want to thank Travis and Eddie Kiker for giving me the opportunity to run for those guys. I used to race against them, now I'm able to race for them, and that's a big thing. And just all my crew and my family, my friends, and all the fans for supporting us and allowing us to be where we are.
That's Lee Pulliam, 2015 NASCAR Whelen All-American Series national champ. And he made the banquet afterwards very emotional, Tom. Lee, talking in his championship speech, was speaking about his wife Leanne's recovery, and they dropped the little bombshell on everybody in the room that after that crash, when they went to the Duke Hospital, the doctor came in and then informed them they were going to have a baby.
Yeah, which really made that even more, that whole situation with her getting out of the accident as well as she did, even that made that whole thing even more miraculous, because of course, who knew at that point? Nobody knew that she was pregnant. And so, that whole situation just was such an amazing thing. And I was really taken aback by that, and you start to realize the gravity of what she'd survived. And so just very thankful that everybody's in good spirits in the Pulliam family right now, and that family will be expanding in 2016.
Yes, it will be. And as we come to the close of the 2015 campaign, Tom, real quickly, before we go off the air tonight, I want to challenge you. We've talked about all these champions, and from the NASCAR Touring Series and the regional level, pick your favorite moment from 2015 out of the touring level.
Oh my goodness, I don't know if I could pick just one.
I already know what mine is.
To me, when you start looking at Andy Seiss coming back at Charlotte and being able to do just enough to wrap up the second championship. You look at William Byron having such a spectacular season. I mean, it's really, really tough for me to pick out just one moment. But I will just say that I think this was one of the best seasons. I mean, I think if I had to pick one, it'd probably be the end of the K&N West race.
There you
Chris
go.
Eggleston
That's good.
Getting the championship.
And Todd Gilliland getting the win.
And Gilliland, because I mean, that literally came down to the last corner.
Yeah, it did. And for me, my favorite moment actually goes to none of the champions, but the K&N Pro Series East race at Columbus that Rico Abreu won for his first win.
Too, sure.
I loved that. I think that takes the cake for my favorite moment of the season. And we're going to challenge you. Hit us up either on racechaseronline.com in the comments section on our Facebook page or at Racechaser News on Twitter. Give us your favorite moment from the 2015 NASCAR Touring Series season. We want to hear from you, race fans, and we're looking forward to it as we go into the winter break. And as we come to the end of a 2015, we do want to thank our partners at Stock Car Steel and SRI Supplies for making this show possible, and now rebranded as SRI Performance going into 2016. You can visit them on the web at stockcarsteel.com or sri-supplies.com. They're working on converting that one over for 2016 for all your shop supply and scrap metal needs. And right now, we close the book on 2015 and say thank you, race fans, because without you, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing on the Performance Motorsports Network, and invite you to tune back in 2016 here Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern for Motorsports Madness, Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern for Turn 5 Live, and right back here after the new year, January 7th is going to be the first Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports show of the new year, 7 p.m. Eastern that Thursday night. It's been fun. Right now, though, for Tom Baker, my partner in crime, for Barry behind the glass, Bob Steele, and all the staff at the Performance Motorsports Network, and all the rest of our staff at racechaseronline.com, I'm Jacob Seelman saying goodnight for 2015. Race fans, Merry Christmas, a happy and prosperous New Year, and wherever you may be, please keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we might just see you at the racetrack. Have a safe racing holiday. We'll see you back after the new year. Good night.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tonight's show is brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supplies. For all of your racing needs, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. Keep up with the latest motorsports news every day on Race Chaser Online. The Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week for more great motorsports programming right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.